animation. Present. What? From where? Saw that? Let me just heal up real quick and then I'm gonna smoke and get you.
That made me feel funny in my pants right there.
Yo, what's up YouTube? It's Philibus. Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going over some fundamental marathon tips and tricks that'll help you in almost every situation. So it doesn't matter what runner shell you're using. It doesn't matter if you're playing solos, if you're playing trios. These tips are fundamental to the game that will really help you hit the ground running. Before we get into it, it is February 5th. So the game comes out in exactly 1 month at the time of recording this. This is all technically subject to change, being that it is pre-release, but you guys know me. I try not to talk about things that I think that they are likely to change before release, but it is what it is. It's out of my hands. Anyway, with all that boring disclaimer stuff out of the way, let's jump right into the first tip. All right, let's start off with sniping. I'm a big sniper. I love sniping. So I got 2 major tips for you sniper freaks out there like me. Okay, first one is crouching accuracy is big in this game. A lot of other games, standing sniping is absolutely fine. There's not a huge difference. In this game, you will see on your crosshair, when you crouch, it becomes significantly more accurate for that first shot. So when you're trying to ping that headshot, you're going to want to be crouching 9 out of 10 times. This is a habit you're going to want to build as quickly as possible. And the second major sniper tip, a lot of you might already know this, but there's scope glint in this game. What that means is every time you aim down the sights, you're basically shining a really bright flashlight off the front end of your gun. So just be aware of this as you're playing, and don't just willy-nilly aim down the sights for no reason, because you are shining that flashlight out. It is drawing attention to yourself. So just be mindful of that. All right, let's talk about the knife. Now, I chose the clip to intro this video to showcase 2 specific things. The first one is just how strong the knife actually is, and 2 is to showcase the specific scenario that is going to come up for you guys a lot, in which you really need to consider whether it's best to switch to the knife or not. And that is when you run out of ammo right in front of somebody. It's like you're in knife range and your mag runs out. A lot of people might not even consider pulling their knife out as an option, and I want to cement it home that that is a very strong option for you. So hopefully, now that I've got that point across, let's go over how to actually get the most out of the knife. Now, it's important to understand that there's actually 2 different ways to attack with the knife. And the first one is one that you'll see in your keybinds. It says quick melee. And this is like your Call of Duty knife, where you have your gun up and he'll do like a quick stab and you'll pretty much keep your gun out. And this doesn't do a lot of damage, so I don't recommend using this when you're trying to kill someone. I will use the quick melee to like break glass and break vents in a lot of situations. But if you're going for the kill, you want to go with the other option, which is to actually pull the knife out and switch to your knife. This opens up the left click for a slash, or the right click, which is the big stab, which is what you see me do almost all the time. I pretty much exclusively right click when I'm trying to kill something, because it does the most damage. Because if you get them in one hit, they go down the fastest with the right click every time. And one last thing with the knife is the movement speed buff you get. So similar to games like Counter-Strike, when you have the knife out, you actually run a little bit faster. So whenever you're moving across the map and you're not actually shooting at anything, it's probably best to pull your knife out and start bunny hopping, right? You see me do this at the beginning of every run. I immediately pull my knife out and I start bunny hopping off into the distance, which is a great segue into my next tip, which is all about bunny hopping. All right, bunny hopping. Like I said, the best way to be traversing these maps is by pulling your knife out and bunny hopping, for 2 reasons. 1, it's just the fastest way to move. And 2, as you're bouncing, your head is bobbing up and down. It becomes a lot more difficult if like a sniper is trying to draw a bead on you to get shot in the head, basically. So those are the main 2 reasons. Now let's go about how to actually do it. It's pretty straightforward in this game. You're literally going pretty much in a straight line. You can turn a little bit as you're doing it, but it's nothing like if you're coming from other games where there's this crazy air strafing stuff going on. It's nothing like that. And it's also auto b-hop, meaning if you press jump while you're in the air, you will bounce as soon as you hit the ground by just holding jump the whole way through it, right? So you don't have to time it perfectly. And also, do not bind jump to scroll wheel in this game. Not only do you not need to, but some of these shells have a double jump, and joining jump to scroll wheel will just ruin your day when you switch to use those shells. Okay, so for those shells, when you have a double jump, you can't really press jump in the air and then hold it, obviously. So those ones, you do kind of have to time it when you land, and you have to do that with like the spacebar, but I feel like the timing is pretty lenient with it anyway, so it's really not that big a deal. But yeah, and then the last thing to know is I mean, it's the fastest on any terrain, but if you hit like a downslope, you get like an even more of a speed boost as it like bounces you forward. So you'll feel that pretty quickly when you get in there. But yeah, best way to move around the map, bunny hopping. While we're talking about movement, let's go over the max height jump in this game. So this game has vaulting, which means if you're trying to jump over like a wall, you can actually grab onto the edge and pull yourself up. So the trick to max height jumping in this game is actually about angling your crosshair so that when you jump and you're at the peak of your jump, that crosshair is aimed directly at whatever it is you're trying to climb up over, right? And that's the key. And I'm pretty sure in this game, you can just jump and hold the jump the whole time and it will vault you up over. I might be wrong about it. You might have to press it either one more time in the air and hold it. I'm pretty sure you can hold it at some point though. Worst case scenario, you got to spam jump. But like I said, the key to the max height jump is finding that right crosshair angle so that when you're at the peak of your jump, you're looking right at where you're trying to vault over. All right, next tip's all about abusing the ping system by spamming pings. All right, solo players, listen up. I'm talking to you too. This is not just a trios thing. I'm not talking about pinging people that you can see for your teammates. I'm talking about pinging when you cannot see people. All right, there's a few situations where this is good, whether any low visibility, whether they're really far away and you can't see them or it's really foggy. As soon as you ping them, not only does it put the shield icon over their head so you can track them perfectly, but also it tells you in the top left corner whether what you pinged was like a bot or a player. So it helps build your situational awareness up. And then also, even in good visibility situations, you might accidentally ping a cloaked assassin who's in front of you, and that's going to absolutely obliterate the whatever sneaking around they're trying to do, and you're going to get free kills off of this. So abuse the ping system by spamming pings as much as you can. And to assist with this, I highly recommend that you bind your ping button something that's not going to mess up your aim, so that you can ping while you're shooting, while you're aiming, looking around, all of that stuff. So for mouse and keyboard, that means binding it somewhere on your keyboard preferably, and for controller, just binding it somewhere where it's not going to mess up your aim, so you don't have to let go of your aiming thumbstick to press the button, if that makes sense. Whether it's like a bumper or if you have paddles on the back. I don't play on controller, so I'm not the best to ask about this, but yeah, abusing the ping system is going to be a very valuable tool. All right, while we're talking about controllers, really quickly, I want to touch on the mouse and keyboard versus controller debate, okay? First of all, I just want to say this is not going to be another Apex Legends, all right? Before I dive in, some of you are going to start to have a panic attack if I don't throw that out front, okay? So let's start with controllers. Controllers obviously have aim assist, right? Mouse and keyboard does not. And in this game, I've heard the aim assist is very strong. And pro tip from my controller buddies, apparently using high sensitivity is a great way to take advantage of that aim assist, and it also closes the gap, because while controllers have the benefit in like tracking aim, like that aim assist lets them kind of lock on to targets sometimes, the mouse players usually have the advantage for like flicks, especially bigger flicks, and they can do it a little bit faster in their muscle memory. They can do like 180 flicks if you've got the muscle memory for it, right? So higher sense also closes the gap there a little bit. So the reason that it's not going to be another Apex Legends primarily comes down to the movement. So in Apex Legends, the movement is really fast, and there's movement tech where people are just really hard to track. So when a controller aimer locks on and gets like perfect tracking aiming on that situation, there's no way that a mouse player can keep up with that. Versus in this game, the movement's much slower and it's more tactical. So the skill ceiling on the tracking aim is much lower, and it's much more within grasp of mouse aimers in general. And then the flip side too is you've got the inventory, and the looting is so important in this game, and being able to switch things in and out of your backpack is just, you're always going to have the advantage on mouse and keyboard, especially when it comes to 3-gun kits. And if you don't know what a 3-gun kit is, I'm gonna get into that right now. All right, 3-gun kits is really, it's just when you're bringing in a kit where you have 3 guns on you. And to understand why you would do that, I should really talk about 2-gun kits and 1-gun kits. So let's start with 1-gun kits, because this is probably the first type of kit you're going to be drawn towards and want to use when you're bringing in an actual kit, okay? So the main advantage of a 1-gun kit is that you have that second weapon slot that's open. So when you go in with just 1 gun, you can actually loot a second gun, and it gives you that extra inventory. You think of it as like free inventory space, basically, because early on, you're not going to have a lot of backpacks. You're definitely not going to have big backpacks. So, and the guns take up a lot of space in your backpack. So having that free gun slot is actually huge when it comes to looting, right? But then the disadvantage of the 1-gun kit is your combat effective at less ranges. You have to pick which range that 1 gun is going to be good for, right? You want to cover the medium range, and then you either lean towards short range with an SMG or lean towards long range with like an assault rifle or a DMR, something like that. 2-gun kits, obviously you're going to be bringing in 2 guns. So this has the added advantage of now you can cover more ranges. And I recommend complementing your medium range gun, whichever way it leans, with whatever complements that the best. What I mean by that is, if you have an SMG that's medium leaning to short, you can complement that with a sniper, because even at close range, you won't have a shotgun, but your SMG is no slouch at close range, right? Generally speaking. Versus if you have an assault rifle that's longer range or a DMR, you're probably going to be better off complementing that with a shotgun, right? It kind of expands your combat effective range. And then, yeah, you still have all of your backpack stuff, and it's a simplified kit. Now you move on to the 3-gun kits. This brings us back to our mouse and keyboard versus controller debate. And the 3-gun kits, basically, obviously you only have 2 weapon slots. That means you have to carry one of your guns in your backpack. I highly recommend the sniper rifle, and I'll get into why. But this also means that in situations, you're going to want to be opening your inventory and swapping that 3rd gun out, and the mouse and keyboard is going to be able to do this a lot faster. So, but that brings up the main disadvantage to this build, is that just doing that in general is obviously kind of a hassle. But in my opinion, especially later in the season, the benefit of having both a shotgun and a sniper to complement whatever medium gun range of your choosing is just far outweighs the disadvantages, right? So let's talk about why I said to keep that sniper in the backpack specifically, right? Generally speaking, you're going to want to keep the shotgun on you as often as possible, because think about it. If you are in shotgun range and you want to use the shotgun, that is not a good time to be opening up your inventory and switching guns, because they're really close, right? Versus on the flip side, if they're at sniper range and you want to pull out your sniper, you probably have plenty of time to duck behind cover, swap to your sniper, and then peek out and do some sniping, right? The only thing with this is I highly recommend you try to remember after you're done sniping to swap back to the shotgun, because this is a big thing. You may go in, you have the sniper in your bag, that's great. Then you do some sniping, and then all of a sudden you're in shotgun range, you realize, oh shoot, I forgot to switch the shotgun back in. Now you're in a tough spot. But yeah, that's your 3-gun kits, and that's one of the main advantages that mouse and keyboard is going to have over controller. I mean, I've talked to controller players who don't even think the 3-gun kit is going to be viable, but I think at the highest levels, especially when you get the tips that I just talked about and they really master it, even controller players are going to be rocking 3-gun kits. All right, next tip, we're going to talk about combat looting. So in this game, looting is always risk versus reward. Even if you're not in combat and you're just chilling, stuffing your face in a bag is going to make you vulnerable. So if someone comes up on you while you're looting, you are in a really bad spot. So keep that in mind, but we're talking about combat looting here. So generally speaking, you almost never want to stuff your face into a bag while there's fighting happening around you, but there are a few exceptions, and I'm going to go over the top 4 in my book. So the biggest one is meds. If you run out of shields or patch kits, it's a big problem. Second one, shields, as in like armor shields. Like having a purple shield or a blue shield is much better than having no shield. Third one is ammo. You can't be combat effective without ammo, right? And the fourth one is guns, right? So maybe you came in with a 1-gun kit and you killed someone who has a shotgun. The main name of the game here is any of these things that you're looting in combat are going to make you more combat effective for the current or the next fight, right? So there's no point in picking up meds if you already have meds. There's no point in picking up a purple shield if you already have a purple shield. I mean, there is points of picking them up, but not in combat. You want to wait until the fighting is done and things are a little bit less risky to do something like that, okay? But yeah, combat looting, generally speaking, try not to do it, but sometimes the risk is worth the reward. Quick note about thermal scopes. Now, this is a rumor mill thing. I haven't been able to confirm this or not, but I've heard from some people that the thermal scopes do not spot stealth assassins. I could be wrong. They may actually spot them, but do not assume when the game comes out that because you're scanning with a thermal scope that there are no stealth assassins hiding. There is a chance that the assassin's cloak will actually protect them from thermal scopes as well. All right, final tip I've got for you guys is whenever you're attacking people at an extract, trios, solos, doesn't matter. The tip I have is try to keep some distance. Try to be using grenades are really strong, and try to finish people with bullets and not just pouncing on them, because you're going to make this mistake and see people make this mistake a lot throughout playing this game. And the mistake is you'll accidentally get pulled out of the extract that you're trying to attack, right? You forget in the heat of the moment that that extract is not just for them, right? Anybody who steps into that ring right as that extract is going off is getting pulled out of the raid, and that's it. You're done. So even if you do finish them, all that loot is going to be left on the ground. So, and if you're in a team game, you're just abandoning your team for the rest of the run. It's also not good. So keep that in mind. Try to keep a little bit of distance when you're attacking people at an extract. All right, I gotta call it there. This video is already getting a little bit long, but yeah, if you got anything out of these tips, please drop me a like, subscribe if you want to see these future videos I've got coming out, and yeah, any questions, I'm always answering as much as I can down in the comments below. Feel free to hit me up there. But yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one real soon. Peace.